Add slider controls to your touchscreen projects using my free library. This library has 3 controls, both a horizontal and vertical slider and an on-off slider. It's the perfect complement for an interface where input range of values is needed, like a color picker that lets you dial in a desired RGB value or set the brightness on your display. Sliders are the perfect application for my personal favorite, a graphic equalizer. Watch as I dance through the slider and fine-tune the audio settings. If you're using a Teensy and its audio board, there are tools that let you connect these slider values directly to the board's equalizer object. The library is available on GitHub. Just jot down the address or see the video's description for a link. The code was written by me and is yours for free. No payment or royalties are required. I delivered 2 examples that should be enough to get you started. The first example is the color picker that lets you slide through RGB values to dial in a desired color. Notice the on-off slider links each slider together so you can get shades of gray. Also notice how sliders can be drawn in a handle color or its own. The second example is a user interface for an 8-band graphic equalizer. Note the display option for the first 5 bands where you can specify a scale but no snapping. The 2K band has no scale and no snapping, and the 4K band has no scale but 3 dB snapping. Finally, the 8th band has 3 dB scaling and 3 dB snapping. You can specify any combination and the scale increments don't have to match the slide snapping. Once you look at the example code, I think you'll see how easy my sliders are to implement. As with any library, include it first. Note, this library was written to work with the Teensy's ILI 9341 Underbar T3 library, but can work with just about any library that leverages the Adafruit GFX library. See the description on the GitHub site for details. Set up some column placement values and storage variables and create a display and touch object per your library. The first real step is creating the horizontal slider objects. Pass in the display object, noting to pass by reference, then screen coordinates for left, top, and height, and 3 color parameters for the slider color, the background color, and the handle color. Then initialize the sliders. Here you will pass in the lower scale, the upper scale, and optionally, the scale value and a snap value. Here we will specify a scale of plus or minus 12 with a scale of 3 dB and no snapping. This behavior is seen in the first 5 bands. If you want the scale to be drawn in handle color, set the draw slider color to true, its default to false. My color picker example uses both, where you can show the slider in color depending on a condition. Then draw the sliders passing in an initial value minus 12 to plus 12. My library does not print text, namely because there are just too many options and font styles. It's easy enough to write your own text anyway. Then in some sort of a loop, get any screen presses and handle any orientation issues. My displays seem to need the value swapping in order to get the press location to report the correct screen coordinate. Here's the magic. Just call the slide method passing in the screen X and Y values. The library automatically filters out presses outside the control's range, so you don't need to add range checking. If your finger's on a slider, it will return a scale value somewhere between your lower and upper limits set in the init call. Then process the callback accordingly. Maybe you can set an RGB value, maybe you want to specify a motor position, maybe set a timer delay. The sky's the limit. This code is pretty small and snappy, as you can see. Well, that does it. Feel free to comment, and if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Better yet, post a link to your work. I'm sure my subs will love to see what cool projects you've invented.